Thank you for having us. And yeah, my name's Leanne, and I've been a counselor at the Christian Counseling Center for 12 years. And I became a counselor because I went there for counseling. So I've been on the other side of the couch, so to speak. And also, before I begin, I want to say thank you to River of Life for sharing your pastor, Andrew Ellis, with us. Our team so enjoys working with him. What a good man he is. So thank you for sharing him with us. So tonight, we're talking about that big topic of mental health. And I'm going to call it mental health distress. It's something that I'm sure everyone in this room has been affected or seen someone affected by mental health distress. It's a big topic, and I think, especially since COVID, it's become more and more of a point of discussion, and people are becoming more and more aware of it. So mental health is a subject that is becoming more and more investigated as well since COVID. So I battled with mental health in the past. I had panic attacks. It was very debilitating. I got to a point where I actually couldn't function as a normal person. And it was a very dark part of my life. So that's why I ended up at the counseling center. But because of God and because of Scripture, and somebody who took the time to listen to me, I overcame that dark part of my life. Understanding yourself and learning the truth about God and His Word and how to apply it to your life is transforming. So, we don't have much time tonight because I know we've got to get into groups and we've got to discuss this because that's how we learn the best. I've decided to do two things. I'm going to break down quickly what mental health is, and then I'm going to touch on two parts tonight. So, do we have the overheads? So that's the first one. Good. So, mental health is a term used to describe how we are coping or managing in certain areas of our lives. And these areas are physical, emotional, behavior, thinking, and spiritual. Some people do not include the physical part, but I think it's important to remember that sometimes there is a physical problem that seems to be a mental problem. So we mustn't get that confused. And so it's always good to start with the physical and find out exactly what's happening with our bodies. Our bodies talk to us, and we need to listen to them and listen to what they are saying. A few years ago, I was struggling with what we thought was depression. I wasn't interested in anything. I was struggling to get out of bed sometimes. I had sleep disturbances, lack of appetite. I forgot things often. But after visiting a doctor, I found out that my iron levels were low. And that's all it was. My iron levels were low. So it looked like I was depressed, but actually I needed some medication. So, question, what is your body saying to you? And do you need to see a doctor before you go into the other areas? So there we are. Those are the areas that we look at as a counselor. So tonight, I'm going to look at emotions, and then I'm going to look at the spiritual side if we have time. So the first thing we're going to look at is emotions. We are made in the image of God. And part of that image is our emotions. Genesis 1, verse 27. God feels, and so we feel. Emotions are given to us by God. and He wants us to use them well. Mental health wellness does not mean that we don't feel or we don't have emotions. It means we use them constructively. So we look at 4 different groups of emotions. We look at anger. We look at anxiety, a big one at the moment. We look at depression. It's the biggest one in the world that people struggle with. And we look at shame, which includes guilt. They all come in varying degrees. So anger can be irritation, or it can be raging mad. So it's all under the same umbrella, but different variations. All these emotions are linked to a subconscious goal and a need. We don't wake up in the morning and say, oh, I want to be safe today. We don't wake up in the morning and say, I want to control everyone today. Everyone at school must do what I do. There was a lot of anger during COVID because people were cross, because other people were not wearing their masks and they weren't sanitizing. Do you have control of people? No. So we don't realize that we have these underlying goals or needs behind an emotion. We just experience the emotion from them. In order for us to understand our feelings, we need to look beneath the feeling and work out the goal and the need beneath it. So anger is a blocked goal. There we are. Anger is a blocked goal. I'm feeling angry. If anyone lives by Mount Pleasant, I am feeling angry because Tiviadale Road is still not fixed. Does anyone have this irritation? Anyone with me? Thank you. And it's annoying me. And I was working through my emotions the other day in the car, and I was like, why do I feel cross? And there's just so much traffic and chaos. And so I was working, okay, so what is my goal behind it? Well, I want the road to be fixed. What is my need behind this anger? I want to have peace and quiet. It gives me security. Everything's just calm. So it's important, and I know it's a big thing to grasp, that there are goals and needs behind an emotion. But as you work through it and practice, you'll see that you will learn how to do it. So anxiety. This is a big one. This is when our goal is uncertain. You see how the, what do you call these people? Artists people. You see how his arrow, he's not sure if he's going to get to his target or his goal. So I am not sure if I'm going to get there. So about 2 weeks ago, the rate started to move. I think it was a Thursday or Friday, and the rate started to move. And I started to feel anxious, which is normal. That's correct. I should be feeling anxious. Because why? Because my goal of wanting things to be stable is uncertain. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I can pay my bills. I don't know if I've lost money in the bank. And so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do what I want to do. And so again, my goal is to have things stable, which gives me security. My goal and my need behind an emotion. Depression. Depression is when our goals are unreachable, when we're trying to get something and we keep trying and we keep trying and we keep trying, but we can't get there. Eventually we become depressed. And that is what depression is, an unreachable goal. In the Bible, David was depressed. Elijah was depressed. When I have a goal that I will never get to, but I keep trying, I will get depressed. Shame and guilt. This is when we have missed a goal. Where do we see it in the Bible? The man on the cross next to Jesus. He felt guilty. So let's just quickly have a look at the two differences. Shame is who you are. You're ashamed of who you are. So how does that work? I think things like, I'm not good enough because I'm not in an A team. I'm not good at sport. I don't make an A team. Ashamed. I didn't pass my O levels. I'm not academic. Ashamed. I'm ugly. People have told me that I'm ugly. Anyway, who said? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and we're all beautiful to God. So that is shame. Guilt is something that you did wrong. Remember, there is guilt according to the world's standard. That is false guilt. And then there is real guilt, which is when we have sinned against God. So false guilt is when we are trying to live up to the expectations of the world, and we can't. And real guilt is when I've stolen something, and therefore I've committed a sin. And what do I do with that? Repent, receive forgiveness, and receive God's grace. And I let go of the guilt. So very important with mental health awareness and your mental health state is looking at what you do with these emotions. What do you do with them? An emotion that is not expressed or an emotion that is buried alive. It's like this bottle of lemonade. If I've got a choice, okay, with an emotion is just an emotion, okay, like this bottle of lemonade. I can open it and spray you with lemonade, or I can open it and I can drink it and enjoy the lemonade. If I take this lemonade and hide it for 6 months, it's going to fester and it's going to grow and it's going to go rotten, and that's what's going to happen inside of me. An emotion is meant to be expressed. So that's the lemonade. Good? Right, so let's have a quick look at the things we do with our emotions. So suppress, repress, overwhelm, or express. So the first three are not constructive. So suppress is bottling it up, denying it, stuffing it away, pretending it's not there. Let's just pretend that we're not cross. Let's pretend that we're not scared. We don't express how we feel. Repress is when we use, when we try and block out memories from something that's painful. Normally, repression is from an ongoing deep trauma or hurt. And we block out the memory and we block out the feelings. Then overwhelming is when we become that feeling. That is what overwhelming is. I'm sure you can think of somebody who, when you think of them, you think of an emotion. They're always scared or they're always angry, an angry person. They have become that emotion. And then express. Express is where we want to get to. So, sorry. Expressing an emotion is what Jesus did. Acknowledge the emotion to yourself, face it, feel it, and find a way of expressing it. We're not often aware of how we feel. It takes practice and it takes time to be able to name an emotion. So allow yourself to feel. So this includes facing or admitting up to past hurts, anger, sadness, any kind of loss or disappointment, fears or anxieties. So here are some ways to express that are scriptural and biblical. Talking to a trusted friend. It's important you speak to a trusted friend. Talking to a counselor. Talking to God. Praying to God, as in the Psalms. You can talk to the trees, but just make sure that no one thinks you're going crazy. But it's a good way of expressing how you feel. Go and talk to those trees. You can, if there's somebody you need to talk to who has passed away or they're not here for some reason, you can put a chair in front of you and pretend they're in that chair. That's simply that. There's nothing else to it. Pretending they're in that chair and expressing how you feel. Writing, brilliant way of expressing how you feel. Doing a journal, a diary, expressing how you feel. I feel angry because whatever it is. Writing letters, fantastic way to express. Doesn't hurt anybody. It doesn't damage relationships. You don't have to send the letter. You can tear it up and put it at the cross of the prayer garden at the counseling center. Writing a letter is such a fantastic way to tell someone how you feel and express that emotion. Sometimes you need to confront the person. I'm not very good at that one. Music, art, fantastic. Art is fantastic. It can never be right or wrong. It's how you feel. Punching pillows, shouting on the end of the veranda. Have you ever tried that? You stand on the end of your veranda and you go, "Ah!" Oh, is that going to hurt anyone? No. It's such a fantastic way to express how you feel. Oh dear. I wonder what Andrew Ellis is going to question me about. Breaking bricks. There's so many things you can do that do not hurt anyone else, do not hurt yourself, and are not sinful. So if you look at the Psalms, you'll see David expresses himself a lot in the Bible. I think there might be another. Okay, no, it's not there. Jesus had emotions. God had emotions. Here are some verses for you to look at where God had emotions. He was angry. He was a righteous God who expressed wrath. He grieved that he had made Saul king. He took great delight in you. He will quiet you with his love, and he will rejoice over you with singing. The Lord was grieved that he had made man on the earth, and his heart was filled with pain. So God had emotions. There's also another list of emotions somewhere. It's coming. Of Jesus having emotions. Oh, there it is. So Jesus had feelings. So there's anger, compassion, frustration, longing, rejection, joy, sadness, anguish, and sorrow. He had all those emotions. And anguish is a serious emotion. He wasn't, a calm and, oh yeah, I'm feeling a bit sad. He felt anguish. He had deep feelings. He was a man of feelings. And that gives us permission to feel because Jesus felt. So, that is our take and our little snippet of emotions. And now I've got about 3 minutes to teach on spiritual circle, or the spiritual side of who we are. So I'm skipping the thinking and I'm skipping the behavior, and maybe we'll come back another day and teach on our thinking and where it comes from. But now we're just going to have a look at the spiritual area of who we are. So, we are spiritual beings, and we have spiritual needs. And those needs are significance, self-worth, and security. And before sin entered the world, we had these. They were attributes. We had them. We didn't need to look for them. They were part of who we were. But when sin entered the world, we lost them. We lost those three. And from the loss, we felt pain. It's also called a hollow core or a gap. And the Bible describes it as a thirst. We become thirsty people. And we start searching. We start searching for ways to quench this thirst. We set up strategies or cisterns, as the Bible calls it, like a bucket that holds water. And we try and fill this gap. We try and quench this thirst. In Jeremiah 2, verse 13, it says, "For my people have committed 2 sins. They have forsaken me, the source of living water, and dug out cisterns for themselves, cracked cisterns that can hold no water." The cisterns are our strategies we use to get our spiritual needs met. Strategies like status, recognition, sport, work, shopping. Shopping can be a strategy. Academics. All of those things are good, especially shopping. But when we are using them to get our spiritual needs met, then it's a problem. And they're not going to work. They're not going to fill those needs. So this thirst, it flows through every part of those things that mental health is about. Our thinking, our emotions, our behavior. This thirst touches each one of those. And the only way we can get these needs met is in God. It's in a relationship, ongoing relationship with God. He is the source of the living water that we need to quench this pain and this gap. The problem with mental health and wellness is that we are searching in the wrong places for these needs, and we get exasperated from trying to get them met in the wrong places. Our emotions, our thinking, our behavior are all affected. We can learn in a practical way how to come to God for our spiritual needs. Then we can learn to change the other areas to improve and maintain our mental health. The world works from the outside coming in, whereas Christians, we need to get our needs met through God from the inside working out, and then it works. Then we can work with our mental health. So what does the Bible say? In Him and through Him, we have our being. Source of the living water is Jesus. So the woman at the well, He said, if you drink from me, you will thirst no more. I think that's John chapter 4. So, one question. What systems do people make to get their spiritual needs met that don't work? And in closing, to have a healthy mental health, it is important for us to understand how God has made us to function. Take time to learn about yourself. Learn about your emotions. Learn about your thinking. Where is it coming from? And then learn how to apply biblical truths to all these areas of your life. Takes time, it's worth it. And if I can overcome it, so can you. So give it a bash. And that's all. I hope I was stuck in time.